Hey YouTube, Brian, LCS. Thanks for stopping by the channel and this video. How can Marvel make Spider-Man amazing again? So let's jump right in. This is a topic that I've been thinking about for some time now. Have been reading Amazing Spider-Man. I actually started in the 80s and read for several years, and then took a break from comic book collecting and came back in 2021. And I picked up with the Nick Spencer Amazing Spider-Man run, and it really wasn't very good. It was kind of a long, drawn-out story, slow burn, really, and artwork was good, but from a story perspective, it just was not where it should be for Marvel's flagship title. Amazing Spider-Man is probably, Spider-Man himself is probably one of the most recognized comic book heroes out there. Uh, and obviously, from a Marvel perspective, it's one of their top selling, if not the top selling book, almost monthly. So we really need to have better artists, better writers, and an overall plan for the story. You take a look at the existing Zeb Wells run, who took over in 2022. So 2 years of really inconsistent storytelling and some things that were added that most readers of Spider-Man do not like. I won't mention the man's name, but Paul. I did mention it, and you if you read Spider-Man, you know about him. And JR's art is really been inconsistent for me in the title, and so um, I think there are some things that Marvel can do to really make Amazing Spider-Man better. So let's take a look at some of the things I think they've done wrong so far. I think they try to keep the character likable for all ages, which I think is a bad thing. You can't keep everybody happy, right? You can't make everybody happy. You can't have a young reader and then somebody who's been reading the character for a very long time. I think that's one of the first issues. I think Peter Parker, the character, hasn't learned from his experiences. The character hasn't grown. He hasn't matured. Um, he's often, short on money and having personal problems. And I know there's the conflict with being, trying to be the superhero in his personal life, but I think we need to see a character who's in real life 60 plus years old. In the comic world, not he hasn't he's not in his 60s, but uh, we need to see him have some maturity and learn from his past experiences. I think that's the other thing with a character who is 60 years, plus old. The story is too complicated, right? There's this long history and there's always references back to, things that have happened in real time 20, 30 years ago. And so if you have a new reader trying to jump in, or even an old reader like myself who's read Spider-Man for a long time, to refer back to an event that happened so long ago, sometimes it's tough to connect the dots. I think the writers that we have seen on the story have tried to really kind of leave their mark, right? It's their shot. They're writing for one of the biggest titles in comic books, The Amazing Spider-Man, and they really try to do something outside of the box, unique, some way to stand out so that people will talk about their writing. And I think that's an issue because I think they're taking some chances with the character that just doesn't work. I don't think there's any overall plan for Spider-Man, right? There's no 5 year plan, 10-year plan. I think with a character like this and with one of your main titles, you need to have an overall outline to kind of follow so that whether you bring in new writers every few years, they have kind of a guardrail to kind of keep within for writing the story where we want the character to go. And I don't think we've had that. And I could be wrong. Maybe the editors at Marvel do have a plan, but it doesn't feel like with the last two writers, and I'd really say the last 6 years of the character, that there's been some type of overall plan. So, so those are the things that I think are currently wrong with Spider-Man. Here are some of the suggestions that I would have to make Spider-Man amazing again. I I say just give the fans what they want. Most fans want Peter Parker and Aunt Mary Jane Watson together. They want them as a couple, whether they get married or not. And we've seen this in the success of the Ultimate Spider-Man story. We're only seven or eight issues into Ultimate Spider-Man, but is becoming one of the top-selling books. One of the main reasons why this is becoming a top-selling book is because we have Peter and MJ together in a family. They have a family, they have children, and they're together. And that, I think, is what most people want to see, most readers of Spider-Man. Let Peter have some success. Let him have, let him mature. Let him learn from his experiences. At this point in his life, he can't keep doing the same things over and over again. And I know I've said it before. I said it earlier. There's this conflict with him between his personal life and being responsible and doing the right thing as a hero. But I think he needs to find that balance now. He's been at this for a very long time, whether it's real life or in the comics, that he needs to find that sweet spot in being a hero. He is a smart guy. He's a genius level. He has genius level intelligence. He should be able to figure this out now with all of the experience he has as being Spider-Man for so long. I would say leverage Miles Morales for younger and new readers, right? We have this great character in Miles Morales who Peter Parker has mentored. Why not have him, Miles, really be there for the younger readers to be able to kind of take over the early days of learning how to be Spider-Man and a superhero? It just makes sense. He's a teenager. He's just like Peter Parker as far as his age when he first became Spider-Man. So let him take the mantle for the younger readers. And I would say let's use all of the miniseries. There's a ton of different miniseries for Spider-Man, alternate storylines. Use those books to be able to tell, unique and different stories. Let writers, take their shot at maybe a story idea or a concept of Spider-Man that they really want to, stand out in. Don't do it in your main Amazing Spider-Man title. Do it in a miniseries, right? So it's not, maybe it's outside of the main continuity within Marvel, and let them take a shot. I think that would be much better, and you leave the Amazing Spider-Man, kind of get back to basics, a basic story, some street level crime. Let Peter have some success. I think those are some of the things that will make Spider-Man amazing again. And now those are my ideas, but I also reached out to some other fellow YouTube content creators who are big Spider-Man fans. I wanted to get their opinion. So let's take a look at what some of the others have to say on how to make Spider-Man better.
What I think they sincerely need to do is give it to Philip Kennedy Johnson as a writer for this first particular arc. Philip Kennedy Johnson saved Superman, in my opinion. Superman's stories were not good, and all of a sudden DC switched gears and gave action and Superman to Philip Kennedy Johnson, and they were excellent, heartfelt, action-packed stories. Marvel can learn something from that. Give it to this man, Philip Kennedy Johnson. And if you don't know, he's actually handling the Incredible Hulk right now and doing a great job, in my opinion, with that title. He saved it from the disaster that Donny Cates did in its previous volume. You can take a little bit more of an unknown illustrator that does tremendous work, like Carmen Canero, and have Carmen Canero handle the interior artwork for this particular volume of The Amazing Spider-Man, being written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. That's how I would make The Amazing Spider-Man amazing again.
Here's what I think would make The Amazing Spider-Man amazing again. We find Aunt May in her deathbed, and her last wishes is to be surrounded by Peter, Otto Octavius, and J. Jonah Jameson. She tells Peter that she's known that he's been Spider-Man for a long time now, and she realizes that the only way for Peter to be happy is to finally just become the man he was meant to be. So she wants Peter to become the scientist he was always meant to be. She says, you should join Otto. You can both save this world. And Otto, you would finally get the credit you deserve for being the genius that you are. And Anna Marconi would see you for the man that you really are and truly love you. Then May admits that she's had money squirreled away for years, combined with Jameson's father's money that he left behind for her. Aunt May is actually super rich. So Peter no longer has to worry about money anymore. J. Jonah Sr. left a home behind in New York, a mansion big enough to house the whole Spider family. This home would be protected by Doctor Strange, and all the Spider family can live there and be their true selves and not have to worry about their identity. Aunt May also tells Peter that he can never live two lives. It's impossible to live two lives. That's why he struggled so much. So Peter Parker needs to stop trying to date women who are not superpowered. He's always going to endanger non-superpowered women, people in his life. So it's best to try to fall in love with someone who is powered. And she thinks Cindy Moon would be perfect. Peter realizes it is true. They have the connection. He wouldn't have to worry about her being in danger. She can hold her own. And they can have a family together. So Jameson, he becomes the man in the chair for the Spider family, like an Alfred, letting everyone know where they need to be, where they can be. And because they're such a tight team, they're all able to have their own lives now, separate from heroism, because all the responsibility that a Spider person feels they have is now shared. It's no longer all on one person, because now Spider-Man is the kingpin of responsibility.
What's up, comic fans? What's up, Brian LCS? I heard you had a question. What can we do to make Amazing Spider-Man better? I was in the neighborhood.
You are amazing.
Some people don't think so.
But you are.
Nice to have a fan. Well, let me tell you, brother. Wow, did I just sound like Hulk Hogan there? Let me tell you something, brother.
Brothers, brother.
What can we do? You know what? We need more Peter Parker. Right? We have brainless action. We have so much action. We have Spider-Man doing this, doing that. Also, sometimes Spider-Man just disappears in the book, right? What's up with Gang Wars? So many other people. But here's the thing. We get a lot of Spider-Man. Yes, the title is Amazing Spider-Man. But the thing about Spider-Man is you need Peter Parker to complete Spider-Man. You need to know what the effects are of what happens, when he's Spider-Man. What happens when Peter gets home? And how does that affect him personally and privately? And when he's out in public with his friends? Without that, you're missing the point of Spider-Man, because everybody loves the lovable loser, Peter Parker. So that's my take on it. What we need is a lot less action, and we need more Peter. Anyway, comic fans, do what you do. I'm gonna do what I do. I'm gonna go read some Spider-Man. Peace.
So really great feedback from the community. Interesting to see how the different approaches. Like Chris, the comic vet, was more focused on the creative team, the writer and artist for Spider-Man, where Freaky Louie had a detailed story tying into the lore of Spider-Man. I really like the wrinkle that Louie mentioned with Aunt May having saved money over the years and being able to leave that for Peter. So really great stuff. So I want to hear from you. What do you think? What do you think Marvel could do to really get Spider-Man's story back to one of the best stories in comic books? Let me know. Do you think it's a writer? It's an artist? Do you think they need to have an overall direction? Whatever you think, drop me a comment. Let me know. Really like to kind of get some ideas out there. Unfortunately, Amazing Spider-Man still continues to sell well, and so I think that doesn't kind of push Marvel to really make some good changes to the title because it continues to sell, and I'm guilty of that. I buy Spider-Man. I even whether the story's good or not, I always pick up an issue. So I don't know. I don't know if we need to stop buying it and maybe send Marvel a message, but I don't. And I don't think Amazing Spider-Man will go anywhere, even if sales drop. But maybe that'll prompt them to make some changes. But we'll see. But let me know. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about my suggestions, about the community suggestions, and what you would do to help make Spider-Man better again. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon.